All right. Well, welcome everyone. Yeah, I see Allison has already started putting locations in the chat. As we're waiting for the couple of people to come, a few more people to come in. Please let us know where you're zooming in from, and how nice the weather is that you're ignoring to be here with us. Yeah, Chicago is sort of upper 60s right now, and actually quite pleasant. I don't know. I think we're really in for a treat today with a group of very new presentations, a little bit of old, little bit of new, with Sam Edek talking first about his documentary, and then we'll have last our speaker from our last conference, Peter Dahmen from Germany, will be showing off his latest amazing paper sculptures. So a little bit of paper art versus engineering going on here today. And then we have a new attendee, math professor Richard Hammack, talking about more didactic ways to use some movable prototypes. So I think it'll be a good group. I hope we'll have a good discussion. Talking about different ways that pop-ups can be used educationally, as well as for collecting and just being gorgeous. All right, Sam, would you like to take it away? I know Marianne's going to roll your clip for us. This labor of love documentary you've been working on for, I think, was you said 12 years?
Yeah, it's been about 12 years. Yeah, I just wanted to preclude it with saying that what you're seeing here, it's just some footage I had lying around that when I was asked to do this, I just kind of put this together really quick. So yeah, keep that in mind, just to give you an idea, and you'll see some familiar faces, but that's just a coincidence.
So what you're saying is this is unseen footage that no one else has been able to get a look at. Yeah, mostly.
Yeah, that's correct. Just me
Oh,
and me and Spy, my partner, the editor, and sometimes cameraman on the project.
wonderful.
So Sam, do you want me to roll it?
Yes, whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Pop-up books are just magic. You open them up and things happen that are not supposed to happen. That's why CGI and 3D, those kind of things just don't do it. Because you expect a computer to do things that amaze you. You don't expect a book to amaze you like that. And that's one of the joys of paper engineering, is that surprise element that when you open it.
There's the monkey National Geographic book, and there's a spread where there's I don't know, chimpanzee, a monkey, and you pull, the monkey shows up here, the little baby monkey is on this side of the shoulder, you pull a tab and it kind of flips around and it does this motion that's like that, and those National Geographic books are amazing. There's some of my favorite mechanisms are in there. I think pop-up books are good for displaying, I'm looking at them more from an artwork perspective. I haven't really done a fully narrative book, which probably most pop-up books have, and I've definitely talked to some paper engineers and people in the industry that say, a pop-up book absolutely has to have a narrative and have a story. If it's just pictures, it's not going to work. That's not true, because I've sold a lot of books that are just pretty pictures.
I like taking a mildly, subtly political approach to my pop-up books. And I think politics are communicated most effectively when it's subtle. And if you package up a message in a pop-up book, you can write some fairly subtle text, but you can very easily attract a viewer if you got something nice and yummy that's just right up in your middle of your spread. So it's a reader magnet. It's a really successful reader magnet. But also, I mean, for me, I love to do it, and I love how it brings a certain kind of variety into my life where I'm accessing different parts of my creative and analytical self. So it's selfish too. It feeds me.
But I love the moment when people change from let's see what you did, and then, oh, that's so super cool. Or maybe if they don't like it, that's also okay. But is it a benefit? I don't know. Is art a benefit? I love to do that, but I'm not in that professional thinking on this topic.
Yeah, I agree.
Sorry, is it really this question confused me, because pop-ups is not a must-have. It's a nice-to-have. It's luxury. Nobody needs to have champagne or caviar, but certain people love it. Some people hate it, and that's the same with pop-ups. If we want to tell a story, tell a story. If we want to tell a story with pop-ups, we all are very happy, but you don't need to. So it's not a must-have.
Yeah, I've changed my mind about this a few times. Like I used to be kind of obsessed with thinking, like, you know, so there's some movies that only work as a film, or some books only work as a novel.
Ah, I see.
Looking for a problem that can be only solved with pop-up. But again, I don't know if it's ridiculous.
No, it's. I think I've never thought from that direction on this topic. Oh, okay, if you look at this at an art, my very personal pieces, which are now 29 years old, were not designed, or I didn't create them for any commercial reason. But when I started to do this, I absolutely love the motion. And this kind of art needs the motion. So when people want to do an exhibition and put this in glass boxes, I think, no, that's no longer a pop-up. It's a static sculpture, and the pop-up needs the transition between those two moments. But when you put a motor beyond that, it's even a different thing, because then it's a moving sculpture. I think it needs your hands on, so you are the director of how fast, how slow, how wide it opens and all that. So now I agree, because you can only do this with a pop-up book or box or what it is.
Okay, so do I have audio? Yeah. So yeah, I guess a little background. This all started out. My next door neighbor at the time is he works as a video editor for documentaries. And if you've seen documentaries on Netflix, like you've probably seen something he's worked on. But I don't know, we were having drinks or something at one point, and we started getting to talking about it, and I asked him, hey, is there, have you ever decided, done your own thing? Because he was like complaining about being locked in a room for 12 hours a day, watching stuff over and over, and he was just like, nah, there's nothing that I have any kind of insight in, or that I'm like particularly interested in. I wouldn't know where to start, but I would like to do, my own thing sometime. And so I was like, well, come to think of it, I have, there's this thing with pop-up books that I kind of know most of the people that do it, and I mean, he kind of, I kind of knew what I did. And around this time, Between the Folds came out, which was a documentary about origami. And everybody was like telling me, like, oh, you have to see this. Oh, this is amazing. And when I watched it, I mean, I enjoyed it, but the production value was really low. Like, it was, it was, I enjoyed it, but I thought it could have been, I thought there could have been like a lot more to it. Like it was, it was kind of a typical like PBS, kind of PBS production, where it felt a little bit academic. So anyway, so we got to talking about this, and we're like, yeah, this is a great idea, blah, blah, blah. I didn't think anything would really come of it. And then like a week later, he calls me and he's like, hey, hey, what do you think about filming this in 3D? And I was like, wow, I don't really know that much about it, but yeah, I mean, that would be really cool. And so then he just totally called my bluff, like bought all this equipment, got a 3D camera. And then we started messing with it. And like we started out just by filming like some things opening and closing in 3D. And it looked just really different. Like it just, I mean, you have to wear the 3D glasses and whatnot, but just visually, like it was just something that I hadn't really seen before. I mean, I've seen 3D movies now and then, but it just looked different. Like there was kind of something special to it. So at that point, we were like really young. And then I did altogether. We've shot somewhere, I'd say around 15 hours of interviews. Like I used to work in Los Angeles with some of the people that worked at Individual, and so I was able to go. I've interviewed like Matt, Robert, Tor, just kind of everybody I could get a hold on. I could get a hold of, and yeah, I mean the conversations have been really interesting. Like it's been it's been really great. Like I mean, and because of this, like I've kind of been back in touch. He when we were maybe about maybe a little around a year into this, like we each had a kid who were like really really good friends, and then we both had daughters at the same time. And so he ended up moving to New Jersey, and the logistics became a lot more difficult. But we still kind of the project kind of gave us an excuse to keep in touch. And then there was one time where I had to go back to Los Angeles for something, and I wanted to do some interviews while I was there. And I used to work with Jose Seminario, was kind of my boss for a while, and I learned a lot of things from him. And he was saying like, oh, I'm still in touch with like the guys in Mexico that started the assembly for our plant. And they were kind of some of the first people to put together stuff. And I mean, of course, he goes way back, like he knows everybody. And so I was like, all right, great. So I had this schedule and like the kind of these grand plans. And when I was transferring planes, I think in Charlotte, and he and I got this text from him, and he's like, oh, it was like, oh, sorry buddy, I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to make the interview. I can't do this. And so I called him. I'm like, hey, what's going on? And he's like, yeah, I'm in the hospital. I just had a heart attack. And so I was like, oh man, I felt just like really terrible. And when I got there, I got in touch with some other people that we both knew, and we just came to see him in the hospital. And like luckily he was doing really well. He told me to call Jamie Hunt, who I did, and she like really talked my ear off. But yeah, we've kind of had some tough breaks and had some. I mean, there's always a lot of people that a lot of people I want to talk to that I haven't had the chance to. Jim Diaz has been very elusive. I think when I was the first time when I had to set up for to interview him, he like broke his arm, so he couldn't do it. But it's it's kind of languished, like at times. I think like a lot is just adulthood. Like other things come up. But I will say that when we I mean, I know Sai's actually worked on it a lot that I haven't seen yet, just because we haven't gotten together. But just in doing this and just putting together like this 5 minutes, like I sent it to him, and he was like, and he was like, wow, you know, I really like what you did with some things here, like, and I feel like it's kind of it's actually added a little momentum, like we're like a little inspired again. So we're I you know like I like you know and I think he felt kind of self-conscious about it just because he edits films all day, so I think it's hard to get in the right mode to work on your own thing when there's no clear path and there's no clear endpoint. So I think things like this help. I mean, I still maintain that whether we get anything out of it and then whether we even have like a finished movie, I mean, I still feel it was, from my perspective at least, it was very worth doing just because I got to learn a lot. I got to talk to people and ask a lot of kind of probing questions that I otherwise wouldn't have an excuse. So yeah, I don't know. Can I take some questions?
Absolutely. Bruce already had one, which was, do you have any elusive interviews that you still need to really get for this? Do you have a list? And maybe okay, could maybe we make that work out for you in St. Louis? If you if you're going to be able to come there. And he's also asking, what is your timeline on finishing this? And it sounds like maybe if there's more interest from society in general, maybe we could help help figure out a way to encourage an endpoint, however far out it is, because I'm sure people would love to see the full thing someday.
So I'd say, yeah. I think it. The ball's kind of not in my court as far as when's the final. Like, editing a film is a really is a really daunting kind of task. I mean, I think at least initially part of the main thrust of this movie was to show how everyone's connected, how like kind of cut to like, oh, I got started, like one of the questions I asked everybody was like, oh, how did they get started? And then there seemed to be like a lot, all these connections and all these people, mentioning each other. And then I could figure out, I thought that would be like more of a natural, kind of a natural way to structure it. But I'm finding that it's not really that, it's not really that key, but that is something where it would be good to get Jim Diaz for, because he was really he's kind of a major hub of, well, like a lot of people like got their start. I interviewed Ray Marshall, which was really great, which was like really interesting because I feel like he's a little bit off in a off in like a separate corner. But I think we really have more. We really have like plenty of footage of interviews. I think the only footage that we're really missing is showing books, like showing things. I always, I think it's the problem with, and I guess it's called cinema verite, is that you can just keep on like piling and piling up footage and have like more and more, and then just never, like never finish, like kind of hoarding, which I feel like I almost feel like we're getting the point of. I think just having more things to cut away to, more, showing more pop-up stuff. And we do already have some like really great footage. I think that's something we probably could use, but I've been collecting things that people have been talking to. So, for some cutaways. And yeah, I mean, I think that would be something that like Sai could answer better than I could. But
Okay,
we were
yeah, I think you answered Ellen's question about continuing interviews at St. Louis. Um, Marianne is asking, since you were doing some of this imaging of the books in 3D, you said you actually people would have to use 3D glasses to see it.
I mean, this whole thing, everything's shot in 3D, like all the interviews, like everything's in.
Okay.
So yeah, you need those. They're like polarized 3D glasses to see it properly. and it's also interesting because even the interviews, like to me, like everything looks like a pop-up book when it's in 3D. So when you show like things popping up, it's almost like it looks like a pop-up book within a pop-up book, and you have to be very conscious about what's like on the outside of the frames and like breaking the illusion and stuff. And it's it gets into a whole other. You need a lot more light. The files are a lot bigger. Like there's that whole other aspect.
Yeah, so Ellen's also asking, did you talk to anyone besides paper engineers? What about taking the basic questions to collectors and dealers and curators and librarians? Or is
Yeah, I
that just
mean,
too far? Does that enlarge the scope too much?
yeah, I mean, we really wanted to speak more to collectors, and also we wanted to, like I know we were trying to arrange to film Ellen's collection at one point. But I want to say that I spoke to Larry a little on camera. I don't remember. But yeah, I mean, I think it's like the more the merrier. But also I think we can always add stuff in, as we go. And yeah, at this point, it's just like whatever's the lowest hanging fruit as far as putting something coherent together is what we're really focusing.
Yeah, I mean, another option once, I mean, you're obviously not going to be able to use all 15 hours. I mean, if your subjects are willing, this might be something to sort of separate out as more of an oral history of the field. If there were a way to maybe make the whole interviews available to members of MBS at some point. I mean, I think I would say after you've cut it together, that's something that a lot of societies do at a certain point, just trying to make sure some of this lore isn't lost. So I think you're doing a lot of good work on that front as well. So yeah, thank you.
There's one thing that I did really want to get when I was last time I was in Los Angeles that I didn't is Wally's collection. I guess they kind of opened it up, and it's pretty far out and like into the desert. Like there's this building with one of the greatest collections of pop-up books ever assembled. But it's kind of, I think the building's kind of falling apart and stuff, and so I thought that would just be a really interesting visual, or would be like something I want to capture, but I don't know, yeah, who's like you said, there's always there's always more footage you want to get, but I think too that like just putting together that 5 minutes really helped to force me to just to just focus on like, all right, we already have all this good stuff, and now just do something with it, like and I think too it's like the problem is like with working is with somebody who's really like a good filmmaker who really knows how to do things right, is they say the perfect being the enemy of the good, like trying to get every like and I think as as a paper engineer, one thing I learned in my publishing career is that yeah, if you try to get everything perfect, you're just never gonna get anything done.
All right. Well, we'll have you back when we're closer to looking for distribution, right?
Yeah. I mean,
we want to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
So that's wonderful. So let's switch over to Peter. And I really loved your section in the documentary, thinking about what exactly is a pop-up, especially in an exhibition context. And this is, I am still obsessed with different ways of putting these things on view so people can appreciate them without destroying them. And you can't make hands-on didactics of everything, of course, though that's also that's one ideal. But I love the idea of this shift between the pop-up as 3D, it's in a box versus being moved in a box, and what the level of control is. And that's just wonderful. So, but with your new publication with Poposition, I think it's going to be in the collector's hands, directing the action and the exhibition, right? So let's let's move on to your beautiful new object.
Thank you for the invitation. And before I start, I have to admit I had no idea that I was even in that movie that long. And I just heard myself telling the story that I'm just about to pick up for my today's story, because it's just about holding a pop-up in your hands. And so I will just start my keynote presentation, and then I'm starting with sound and start. And please let me know if you see the screen correctly, then I'm going right in. So yeah, thank you for the invitation. And I would like to share with you my thoughts upon the absolutely newest project. And it's a thing that it's very personal and touches my heart. But before I dive in, for the people who don't know me, my name is Peter Dahmen. I'm working as a designer and also as a paper artist. And I'm specialized in designing pop-up cards, but also art objects that sometimes unfold, but always have something to do with transition and transformation and movement. I'm located in Dortmund, Germany, which is in Europe. And as I said, my passion is not just to create pop-ups for clients, but if I have my ways, I would always do abstract objects from white paper, like this one. This is a work that I made a long time ago. It's really huge, and it's supposed to be a single piece. Why? Of course, I always want to share that, but there is a reason that it's supposed to be a single piece, because it's just so much work to put that together. It's made of dozens of elements, and the assembly does not just need hours. Sometimes my objects need several days to be completed. But still, I presented my work at the Movable Society conference in Kansas City. That's in 2018, when also Sam recorded the interview. And I also met Rosten at the time, and he approached me and said, "Peter, that's cool. Let's make a book together." And at that time, I was like, "No, Rosten, how would that be possible? I would have to limit myself too much." So at that time, I said no. But as you might remember, 2 years ago, I showed you another very, very complex thing. This is not an art project that I made for myself, but I made it for a client. I presented this at the conference in Cleveland in 2023. This is what I made for a stop motion animation film that's called Wendell and Wild, published on Netflix. And the conference was fantastic. And again, Rosten approached me and asked me again. I said, "Hey, Peter, let's make a book together." And this time I said, "Yes, let's do that." So thanks again, Rosten, for being that persistent. I really was fearing that he would never ask me again. But in the meantime, over the years, being not just a paper artist, but a paper pop-up designer, I learned how to make pop-ups that can be produced in long production runs. So here are some examples that I made for the Museum of Modern Art, for the MoMA store, to be exact, not for the exhibition, but for their design store. And all of the cards that you see, they start with an initial production run of at least 30,000 cards of one design. And with the holiday cards, they start with an initial production run of 40,000 cards. But some of them have been produced in editions of more than 90,000 items of the same design. And yeah, Susan just brought that up. "Hey, Peter, you're doing color pop-ups?" Yes, if it needs to be commercial, of course, I also do illustrations and put some flowers on them and some peacock feather designs. But now Rosten asked me to do something about my personal art. So this is the story of pop-up sculptures and how this project came to life. So right after the conference in September 2023, when I was back home in Germany, I started to work on ideas that were interesting enough for me to count as a pop-up sculpture, and that would represent my approach on paper art, but that would be still producible in a medium or even a long production run. So when you're looking at this design, you might consider it to be easy or a bit boring, but still this is made of several pieces, and it's not just about doing some tinkering and then deciding, let's put it in a book, but it's actual detailed work. So I created the production files for each of my designs in 2 versions. This is the version, and I apologize for putting the text over the cutout lines, but I don't want to share my art with everybody. So sorry for that. But you see, these are the cut lines for production with a die cutting tool and a cutting plotter. But I also created for each of my designs a version for the technical production with a laser cutting tool, and they are not the same. They are, for example, with the laser cutting, all the corners are slightly rounded. So the laser would go around the corner smoother and won't create a burn mark on the edge. I'm not going too deeply into these details, but just, you know, it's not just scanning your elements and just digitize them and you have the cut sheets. It's a lot of detailed work. On top of that, I created detailed assembly instructions. And here's another example that shows the difference between a personal piece of art that I will just do once or a piece that is to be produced in a large production run. So here, whenever it was possible, I worked with slots and tabs instead of just gluing pieces together, because then you always have the risk of shifting them slightly. But with those slots, you can be sure they will always be perfectly at the same position. And even if I said this design might look a bit boring or simple to you, it's still 25 steps from the first step to the last to make that pop-up, to finish that pop-up. And sometimes the flaps are really tiny, so you can no longer grab them with your hands, but you need a pair of tweezers to make, to connect them. Over 8 months, I created several designs, and whenever I was finished, not just with the model, but with the technical description, the cutout sheets, and the tutorial how to assemble that, I would send it to Rosten and ask him for his opinion. And he was always like, well, that's cool, make more, make more. And so I did. For 8 months, I created about 15 different designs. I asked for your understanding that I only share the 12 that made it actually into the products. But here they are. Some are very clearly based on designs that you might have seen on the internet in my YouTube videos. And some are completely new designs that I made up completely new from scratch for that book. So we met about 1 year ago. It's maybe to that day. I have to look that up, but really 12 months ago, Rosten and I had a video call and we said, okay, we have now so many designs. How do we approach this? What do we do to put it into a product that Rosten can sell in his with Poposition Press? And so we made 2 like stacks. So we sorted them in 2 groups. And Rosten had a wonderful idea. He said, let's do 2 editions. Let's do a regular edition and a special edition. So on the left side of the screen, you see the pop-ups that are all in the regular book. So this is a book that holds 6 original artworks, pop-up sculptures that are made. And then we contacted David Carter and asked him if he wanted to write a foreword. And he said, yes, so I'm super happy. So the pop-up book, the regular edition, well, that's the one. It starts with a personal note of David Carter, and you have the English version. And because I'm from Germany, we also made a translation into German language, and a personal thank you letter from my side, also in English and German. So thank you, David. I don't know if he's joining today at your side. He's already in Germany. It's already evening here. And then the 6 pop-ups that you now see on the screen are also included in the special edition, but the special edition comes as a second volume. So the special edition holds everything that's in regular, and on top of that, you will have a second volume, and in the second book, you will have 6 more pop-ups. And the special edition is all signed and numbered and limited to 250 copies worldwide and forever. And it comes in a custom designed laser etched acrylic slipcase. So this is the set that you get when you order the special edition. In the next 2 months, we were preparing, Ross and I, we were preparing the series production, which means sending all the data and the instructions and the photographs to possible production companies and asking them for their quote. And at the same time, we prepared the crowdfunding campaign. So in the next weeks, of course, I only had my prototypes, my small models, and I filmed all of them in a most dramatic way. And I created a video presentation, and about 4 or 5 days before the Kickstarter campaign went live, we received, or I received, the prototypes. And what I'm holding in my hands is still a prototype, but I could use them to show it in my hands. So when I'm sharing now with you the video that we used for the Kickstarter campaign, what I'm holding in my hands was the first time that I could touch the real book. And you can see actually how happy I am. Let's see what we shared on Kickstarter.
I love to create things from paper. My favorite creations are pop-up sculptures. I cherish the moment when a flat design transforms into a three-dimensional object. It's a magical effect that I've always wanted to share with you. That's why I've shared videos of my work online. But what's a video compared to the experience of holding the real thing in your hands? Hi, my name is Peter Dahmen. I'm a designer and a paper artist. For a long time you could only view my work on a screen, but that is finally changing. In collaboration with Poposition Press, I am releasing the book Pop-up Sculptures. It contains 6 of my three-dimensional paper artworks. When you hold it in your hands, you can finally experience that magical moment of transformation for yourself. But that's not all. We are also releasing a special limited edition of pop-up sculptures. This includes the regular edition and a second volume with 6 additional pop-up sculptures housed in a custom laser-etched acrylic slipcase. Each copy will come signed and numbered by me. I'm sure that you will love it just as much as I do. With your support, the dream of having my work published in a book will finally become a reality. Now you can get your hands on my work and experience these magical moments for yourself. I'm so excited to have my work in your collection. Thank you very much.
So with this video, we started the crowdfunding campaign on Kickstarter. It started on 3rd of September 2024, and it was funded in about 10 days, which made us very happy. So we could actually order the real books at the production company. And then about a month later, we could present the project for the first time to a live audience in Paris. At the Salon du Livre Animé in Paris. It's an event that only takes place for 4 hours on one Saturday afternoon, but it's very crowded, and you have all those pop-up book lovers and pop-up book creators on one spot. And of course, at that time, we only had the prototypes, so we couldn't give them away. And I was super happy that Rosten even flew over to Europe to meet me in Paris, so we could present this joint project together, the two of us, at this very small conference. And we could have sold the books there, but of course these are our prototypes, so we have had to keep them for ourselves, which was a bit sad for several possible buyers, but we could tell all the people they could order them. And now it's a huge time jump to last month when Rosten actually received the real products. And this is the video he shared. So this is just the unboxing when we received the final products. Enjoy. And today, since Rosten was so busy during the last weeks, he sent out the books to all the people who pre-ordered them. I don't know if all of you have received them, but many of you will have received them. So you can get finally your hands on my work. And that makes me super happy. So thank you for your support. But wait, there's one more thing. We also created pop-up cards based on 4 of the designs that are in the book, in a smaller scale, card size. So like this is the size of one of the cards. And they have, I believe, really nice covers. But again, these are not birthday cards or Christmas cards, but I consider them still to be some edition artwork things. So you can use them for any occasion. And you can purchase them as a single piece. So you don't have, if you don't want to buy the whole book, you can also just buy one card or a card box set with 8 cards in a box. And that's it. You can order everything at Rosten's website, propositionpress.com. And I thank you for your attention and thank you for letting me show and share my work here in this community. I don't see my curler. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I cannot see my cursor on a black screen. There it is.
There we go. You got it. Thank you so much, Peter. That your video is doing some wonderful things in terms of reducing you to a pair of gleeful hands. Opening and showing that prototype. That was particularly wonderful. You do take a look at the chat. We have so many happy recipients of your book that already received them. So yeah, we have a lot of successful deliveries. Although Emiko's first comment, Peter, you're insane if you think we look at your work and say easy, boring. Your sculptures are gorgeous and anything but boring. So I think that's probably a fair assessment of everyone looking at everything you've done. So yeah, so much love for the design of the case lining up with the books and sort of doubling and creating this sort of extra sculptural form even on the flat side of the volumes. Yeah, let's see, I'm trying to find, okay, here we go. Ellen has an actual question. Congrats, Peter, great work. I love your enthusiasm and of course your talent. Oh, okay. How did the decision to eliminate the hyphen in pop-up come about?
Wow. Yeah, you got me, Ellen. We discussed this a long time, and it was when you write pop-up sculptures, which they are for me, you have this long connection and you have to set it in one line. But for the book cover, we didn't want, it just didn't look good to say pop-up sculptures set all next to each other. And to put it in 2 lines, I just said, let's eliminate them. You're right. It's not correct American English. It's even not correct German. But it's just, let's call it an artistic decision. And you will be horrified if you look at all the text. Oh, sorry, there's no text in here. If you look at all the text, we eliminated it throughout all texts. And when I showed it to a professional lecturer, when the book was already printed, she was really mad at me, said, "You cannot do that." And I said, "Yes, I can. I'm an artist. I just made this decision." So sorry, Alan, this will be an really something different to all of your other pop-up books in your collection. And I apologize, but we just made it that way.
Okay, and also Roston has just chimed in saying he prefers the non-hyphenated version. So that
Yes, it was all the decision of the publisher. Now I remember. Yeah.
under the bus, right? Okay. Oh, Ellen says you were entitled to artistic license. No problem on our part. Ooh, okay. You've squeaked away on that one. That's wonderful. Yeah, so it looks like Sam had to step away to teach some kids to make pop-up Mother's Day cards, but was glad to be part of the discussion. Loved your amazing work, Peter. Also appreciated your being part of the documentary. So
I'm also very
yeah.
happy. I didn't know I had such a huge part in that. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for your huge support and your super kind feedback.
All right, let me just oh, and yes, and Jean says pop up really pops up out of the text block. So you know, the getting all eyes on that part now that we're analyzing it. All right, well, let's finish up with our final speaker, Richard Hammack, who I'm hoping is getting some ideas for crowdfunding and publishing from these successes, and just tell us a little bit about how you've used your prototypes and what you're interested in doing with them.
Let me share my screen as I talk. I have a slideshow that I'm going to get ready. Is this visible?
It is, but we also see your notes on the side where I don't know if you.
I'm sorry, I'm sharing the wrong screen.
Oh, it's okay.
I think this is what
Yep, that's your screen. Yeah.
Okay.
Presentation.
So I'm Richard Hammack, a professor of mathematics at Virginia Commonwealth University. I'm interested in expressing and rendering and explaining mathematical forms via pop-ups. And I'm going to show you a couple of projects I've been working on. Two projects, one 3-dimensional and the other 4-dimensional. I'm going to begin with the 3-dimensional one. I thought it'd be really cool to do a box of pop-ups that open to the 5 platonic solids. And these are 3-dimensional shapes that are made from regular equiangular polygons. And there's only 5 of them. And this is about 80% complete. I've got pop-ups for all but the icosahedron, which I'm still working on. But I prepared a little video of the 4 I have so far that I'll show you. Hello, I'm Richard Hammack, mathematics professor at Virginia Commonwealth University. I'll show you a box of mathematical pop-up cards I designed, each of which opens to one of the 5 platonic polyhedra. Now, cubes, that is boxes, and tetrahedra, that is pyramids, are standard pop-up constructions. But I tried to make mine with unusual and surprising unfolding mechanisms. Here's the cube. here's the tetrahedron. It opens with 1 degree of freedom, but when fully open, it hinges on the edge that's in contact with the base. And here is the octahedron. It also hinges when open. The dodecahedron offered some special challenges, but I finally found a workable design. It opens with 1 degree of freedom. I had an earlier version with a folding top face, but I decided I like the open top better, so you can look in and see the structure. Notice there are no internal props, only the paper skin of the dodecahedron. I hope to publish this set soon. Look for it. Thanks for listening, and goodbye. So I'll put that video on my YouTube channel as soon as I do that one last pop-up card. I need to do the icosahedron, and I'm getting close to it, but it's not quite done yet. Next, I'm going to move into some 4-dimensional work. I have another box of pop-up cards that unfold to different projections of the tesseract or 4-dimensional cube. It's hard to visualize a 4-dimensional cube, but you can make models of it. Just like a 2-dimensional drawing of a 3-dimensional cube is a 2-dimensional shadow of a 3-dimensional object, you can make 3-dimensional shadows of 4-dimensional objects. And the pop-up cards that I'm about to show you are doing exactly that. They open up to create 3-dimensional shadows or projections of a 4-dimensional cube. Now, I chose this next video because it also offers a little bit of background and explanation about tesseracts. Let's take a look. Hello, I'm Richard Hammack. Let me show you a set of mathematical pop-up cards I designed. Each is a 3-dimensional projection of a 4-dimensional cube, also called a 4-cube or tesseract. Each box has 8 cards, 2 each of 4 designs.
Before opening one, what is a 4D cube? That's a lot like asking what is a 3D cube. A 3D cube is a square with some depth in the 3rd dimension. A 4D cube is a 3D cube with some depth in the 4th dimension. Pick a direction to represent the 4th dimension, a direction perpendicular to all 3 cube dimensions. Of course, there is no such direction in 3-dimensional space, but we can still draw it. Move the cube into that direction. The result is a 4D cube, or tesseract.
My first card is a 3-dimensional model of this. It consists of a lower 3-dimensional cube connected to an upper 3-dimensional cube by rhombic faces. You can see the lower cube here, and there's the upper cube. You can write a note on the back.
It's a three-dimensional model, a three-dimensional projection of a four-dimensional cube, or tesseract. To motivate my next card, consider this cube. Here's a line connecting opposite vertices. Rotate the cube until you're looking straight down that line. This gives a special diagonal view of the cube. What if we looked at the tesseract this way? If we projected it to 3 space along a line through opposite vertices, what would we see? My next card gives the answer. This view of the tesseract is a solid known as a rhombic dodecahedron, having 12 rhombic faces. There are also some internal rhombi. The top face is left off so you can look in and see them. All rhombi are congruent, both inside and out. The red dot in the center is where the 2 opposite vertices coincide. Closing the card causes them to separate. On to my next card. To understand it, think of a three-dimensional cube. Here's a line connecting midpoints of opposite edges. Rotate the cube until you're looking straight down that line. The result is a side view of the cube in which opposite edges coincide. In this card, the tesseract is projected to three-dimensional space along a line through midpoints of opposite edges. You'll see here the outline of a cube, but it has some depth. You'll also notice that channels have been cut out of some of the faces so they can intersect as the card opens. The red line shows where opposite edges coincide. Closing the card changes the projection and makes the edges separate. Perspective offers another way to render a cube. In perspective, this cube looks like a big square containing a small square with connecting lines that meet at the vanishing point. Perspective can also be used to project 4D to 3D. Here's my perspective view of a tesseract. It has a notch cut out of it. You'll see why in a minute. It has the form of a small cube inside of a big cube connected by 8 lines that would meet at a vanishing point. This pop-up uses 16 of the tesseract's 24 faces. They fit together, edge to edge, to form the surface of a torus. You can turn it over and look through the hole of the donut. I did omit 8 faces. After all, if I put them all there, this would look just like a cube. You wouldn't see what's inside, but all faces are implied by their perimeters. I hope someday soon to publish this set. Look for it. Thanks for listening. I hope we meet again.
And you can see more of my work on my YouTube channel. It's Straight Edge and Compass. I have a prototype of a hypercube pop-up book, an introduction to 4-dimensional space through the lens of the hypercube, and some other things as well. I haven't published anything yet. I've had some interest in the Seattle Mathematics Museum and the Museum of Mathematics in Manhattan have approached me about they want to stock these in their gift stores, but I haven't been able to find a publisher yet. The American Mathematical Society would be happy to distribute them, they said, but they can't publish this type of thing. But mostly I'm just having fun creating these in very limited editions, just 5 or 6 boxes. So thank you. I enjoyed having the opportunity to show you this.
Yeah, thank you, Richard. This the chat, everyone in the chat seems to want these actually. I mean, we're at the right place. And I could see the Tesseract set being bundled with A Wrinkle in Time. I mean that it really could have applications beyond the math classroom. And your presentation, there were a lot of comments about the sort of notebook is very charming and approachable. Your Tesseract actually looked a little more like a U.S. passport to me, which was interesting because of that sort of implication of travel through dimensions. So I didn't know if that was intentional, but
Very much intentional.
okay, yeah, I was wondering about that.
Exactly the same size, the same proportion, same layout. I wanted them to feel precious. You pick it up and you don't want to put it down.
Yeah. So I mean, it feels like the scale is a really actual paper engineers should jump in on this, but I feel like you've scaled them well for what you're trying to do. Does anybody want to?
Oh, thank you. I have to add that one reason they're so small is that I print them in my office printer, and I'm restricted to letter size paper. So that means once things are folded up, it's going to be pretty small.
Hmm. Does anyone want to unmute and jump in? I know, or maybe Peter, since you're still here, what do you think? I mean, obviously this is a labor of love as well, a bit like your paper sculptures. I mean, what do you think about the appropriateness of sort of the scale and format here?
First of all, I love what you did. I'm completely blown away. It's fantastic, and I believe the size is perfect. I would have had a closer look if you would want to produce them, because I believe, just like in my versions, this is all glued together, and for serious production, maybe you have to do some slots. I just don't know. But in the video, the size looked perfect. Nothing to add, nothing to take away. It's just right on point. And who would dare to put their notes on the back? Don't do that. These are pieces of that should stay like white or white and black objects. I wouldn't dare to write on them. That's just my 2 cents. So I think you have to connect with the publisher and then decide if it's a special interest thing for 100 of people, or maybe if it's for 1,000. I just don't know.
It's a pretty niche thing. It's for really math geeks.
Yeah, but I believe
there are a lot of them.
There are not just pop-up book collectors who would love them, but there are people who collect curiosities. So I believe there must be a market for this, but I just don't know.
Yeah,
I love it. It's wonderful.
I should have mentioned earlier, but Richard is actually a new member of the Movable Book Society. So yeah, I feel like you're in the right place because there's a lot of self-taught practice happening in this group. I mean, there's not an I don't know how you came to this procedure, but there's really no way to educate yourself like professionally necessarily in this area. There are no major programs for making pop-ups. So it's really interesting that you brought these together.
I have learned so much since joining the Movable Book Society. It's been a really great resource.
Okay, let's see. So I'm trying to go back in the comments. Yes, lots of enthusiasm. I'm like a couple other people. I'm going to have to spend more time with the fourth dimension. But I admire even that idea of taking pop-ups to the fourth dimension. I think is actually a really good hook if you can simplify it to a way that is understandable and sort of, I'm not going to say marketable, but I feel like that's a really good concept right there. This is, I mean, there have been flap polyhedra, since the 16th century. But with your cutouts and through the whole card for the tesseract, that was really clever, and the way that you are actually sculpting effectively a freestanding polygon in the middle of some of these cards is really interesting as well, and that's obviously not something that was really done in the Renaissance. Yeah, but there's a lot of history that could be brought to it as well if you want to look at those. All right, trying to see if there are any. Oh yeah, Emma Ko says she teaches both a pop-up project and a polyhedral project, so I would want that in my classroom as ASAP. Students would be blown away. So how much do you share these with students at this point already?
I'm so new at this. I haven't really done a lot of sharing. I would consider it would be easy to, these are all just PDF files, to send those out, and you could cut them in a classroom and put them together. All of these, or most of them, actually are pretty simple constructions.
Yeah, no, that's great. There were questions, would a university publisher touch this? Because it probably depends on scale, I would guess.
My experience is that there are not many publishers who want to delve into pop-ups.
No.
A lot of interest, but nobody wants to do it.
Oh yes. Okay. Yes. MIT is a suggestion from Bruce, which fair. I mean, I know some professors there, but yes. Also, okay. Math phobic people, this would be good for someone. Penny Hall saying, I wonder if delving into topologies would be doable as well. Yeah. Don't give away the PDFs just yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you could, obviously that would be good for personal class use. Yeah, great. Well, we've kept you a little bit over the time, but are there any more follow-up questions for Richard or for Peter before we wrap up? Okay, well, it looks like we might have one. Yeah, usually, oh yes, Joy is saying university presses usually want grant money to support. I'm not sure I'm not sure this is a great time to be asking for that. Unfortunately. Yeah. Okay. Bruce, yeah. Bruce is waving at Peter. Yes, and so
Thanks, Bruce.
all right. Okay, well, I guess if that's it, thank you both. And to Sam, who has already gone off to do more paper engineering in a topical way. Thank you all for being here, and yeah, this will be online. So if there's some Peter and Richard, if there's something that you don't want online, just talk to us about that. But it looked like you had edited your images the way you wanted them, so just want to make sure that's still good. Okay, wonderful. Thank you all, and hopefully we'll have more pop-up sculptures to look forward to in the mathematical sense in the future. Okay, have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.